So is I.
So will I when I get things set up. So
And we are live.
Did you guys able to?
good evening again. Welcome to the Jungle Chasers, where we are a bunch of weather geeks.
Not video
Enthusiasts, I guess,
production
would be a better
experts.
word.
Yeah. Far from that.
We hope to educate you on the weather. We hope to entertain you, and know that we are also, most of us, ham radio operators. Some people know it as amateur radio. Um, the majority of people in here are members of an organization called Skywarn. We are volunteers with the National Weather Service to provide ground truth to severe weather that enters our area. My name is Patty. I am the regional coordinator for Skywarn for 37 counties in southwest Missouri, and 34 in southwest Missouri and 3 in Kansas. And with me tonight, I think we have the whole gang. I guess we'll go next to Franklin, if you would introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Franklin. My amateur radio call sign is KD0RSJ. I happen to be the county coordinator for Greene County Skywarn, as well as assist with the regional net control.
And I am Rodney, K0FZ, Kilo Zero Foxtrot Zulu, as Franklin would like to correct me anyway. I am a volunteer for Skywarn, Greene County. I serve as net control for both when needed. I'm considered secondary. My schedule doesn't always make it possible for me to be there as primary, but maybe that'll change in the near future. As far as that's concerned, I enjoy this team, our weather team, if you will, and I'm glad to be here tonight.
And I'm Steve, KA0SPM. I'm the guy attempting to produce video. And other color for the evening. So, back
Are
to
you our
And
color
we have one more
commentary?
with us.
I'm the color guy.
We have one more with us who has joined us as a regular member of our team from across the pond. While not involved in Skywarn, he is involved in emergency services that are affected by the weather. So we greatly appreciate his input and what things are like in Great Britain. Kieran, if you would introduce yourself.
My name's Kieran, also known as Killer B. I work as a police officer down here in the UK, just outside of London. I'm actually coming at you live from the office at the moment, even though it's nearly 3 in the morning. But yeah, I do love coming on here. It's really nice to learn all of the sort of stuff that goes on over there, and it's also interesting to put my input across as well.
I hope we're getting video
Mr.
into
Producer?
Hope we're getting video into the to the live stream tonight. I'm not sure we've got internet that's cooperating. I'll have a look and see. Sometimes
I am seeing it on YouTube.
If we can see each other, if you can see us, then it's good.
I say I can't see anything on here because I'm on my phone.
Right. Well,
Franklin, can you see all of us on there?
Yeah, I see everyone, and I heard Steve saying he was hoping that we were getting video into the live stream tonight. So
Fabulous.
I think we're good.
So we have quite a program tonight, kind of loaded up. So, Mr. Producer, would you give our agenda here?
well, this evening we have actually quite a bit of weather going on. The good news is that in the UK there are no current warnings for anything. So hopefully they're having pleasant days over there. On this side of the pond, we have Sally information. Tropical Depression 22, which will be running around the Gulf of Mexico aimlessly apparently. The drought in the central part of the U.S. and the smoke coming from the wildfires out west. So, going to be an action-packed evening, and I think, Patty, you've got a starting off point there, and we'll go from there.
All right. So I do have a little bit of a starting off point. Sally is not done with us. She came on shore on the 17th in the wee hours of the morning, wreaking havoc down on the Gulf Coast, Mississippi, Alabama. Currently located over both the Carolinas and Virginias. Heading out to sea, I do see a tornado watch box. That is for portions of southeast North Carolina, eastern South Carolina, and the coastal waters, effective until 11 p.m. They do not anticipate Sally to refire once she reaches out into the Atlantic, but will remain a tropical depression as she launches out to sea. Been a great deal of flooding, especially down along the Florida coast down here. I saw up to 2 feet of rain had fallen down there, as well as you had storm surge. So it was quite the mess when she came on shore. Any other comments about Sally, guys?
Well,
I mean, a hurricane's a hurricane. It's terrible. No matter if it's a Category 1 or a Category 5, it's bad news.
There was a fair amount of flooding and damage. Gulf Shores comes to mind as a kind of a hot spot. I do, however, have a message from Facebook. This comes from James Spann. It was posted on his page. And if anybody's missing a sailboat, he's got one there in the yard that if this is yours, he'll connect you with the person who owns the property where the boat is. So just a little quick message there. I can't read
And I'm
what.
sure they're not asking much for a finder's fee.
Probably not at all. They'd probably be real happy to
Just
have that.
please
out
come
of their...
get your boat out of my yard, right?
Right.
One of those situations.
So.
So one interesting thing about this storm, and they kept saying it, don't fool yourselves, it's just a Category 2 coming inland. Sally stalled out in the Gulf and was only forward speed of about 2 miles per hour. So she was dumping copious amounts of water. And this lasted for hours and hours and hours. It also affected, once on shore, the winds, even though they would diminish as she moved north, the winds were there for hours. It wasn't a quick blow and gone. So it really did. I think the damage that we're seeing out of there is a direct result of the slowing down of that storm. Besides, 100-mile-an-hour winds are going to wreak havoc anyway. One good thing I did read out of this, since the federal government was already set up and helping with the rebuild and cleanup from Laura, that resources were very close by to jump in and help with Sally. So that was a good thing.
Good. Yeah, I know they had activated the state's emergency response team from Missouri, and I think 3 or 4 other states. I'm wanting to think Texas was one, and either Tennessee or Kentucky may have been another one. And kind of what you had said, Patty, about the slow nature of the storm. We all know here in southwest Missouri that whenever we get what's called training thunderstorms, that's where either very storms that are producing a lot of rain either are going over an area very slowly, or storms keep repeating over the exact same area. You can get some very heavy flooding happen. This is kind of like that, but on maybe like a 10 or 100 times scale. So no wonder they had what I had seen. I don't know if it was right before the storm made landfall or right after it made landfall. I saw a post from the National Weather Service where they called it catastrophic flooding.
Yes. Yes. And there were interstates and other roads that were washed away that had survived, I think, Hurricane Michael.
Mm-hmm.
That are now, there's big holes.
Wow.
I don't have that particular picture. I should have saved that earlier this week, but and there is a system down in the Gulf, down around the Yucatan, that we are watching for potential development that may affect us. Teddy looks to be headed for Greenland. Maybe Newfoundland for a North American hit, but should not affect the coastal U.S. at all, if I'm reading that one right.
I think you are.
Did I get the storms backwards?
Teddy's the one that's kind of out in the Atlantic, and if it performs as expected, they might see a little bit of rain in the maritime provinces. So that might be something to watch out for. We've got Tropical Depression 22, and
that's the one that they're watching for development.
Right, and when I mentioned this is going to wander around aimlessly in the Gulf, seriously, that's what they're saying. It's the rainfall potential is pretty much over water. I mean, there is some along the bottom southern coast of Texas and somewhat in Louisiana, but the spaghetti maps, and I'm not sure I can pull any of those up, that show the predictions just go every which way. It's really spaghetti. So no one really knows what to expect out of this thing, so it's definitely one of those things to keep an eye on if you're going to be traveling in that part of the world, either by boat or on land, because there's the possibility it could turn into a hurricane. It could turn and go into Texas if the steering winds continue the way they are. So it's definitely one of those. Right now, everybody's scratching their head because we're not sure what's going to happen. But suffice it to say, there's enough of us watching that if it changes in any way, we'll let you know. We also have Vicky, which apparently Vicky kind of is blowing herself out. And I find it odd that they missed the letter U.
I think they only use 22 of the 26 letters and then start into the Greek alphabet. So I don't know why they've done that, but the agency that oversees the names every year, they do skip a few. They didn't do Q, they didn't do Z, I don't think they do U, and I don't remember what the other one is.
Did you hear what I said?
What was that?
I said they don't want to come up with a name like Ursula or something like that.
Ulysses.
Hey, Hurricane Ursula would be awesome, particularly if it hits Florida.
Don't be mean to Florida.
Well, I'm just thinking sort of the Orlando area might like to see a Hurricane Ursula.
Okay, so you picked the one area that I have family. Thank you.
Well, I was going more for Disney World. I am sorry.
The Disney Association, yep. So one
That
thing
will
that
either
has
be
been-
$5.95 or a YouTube strike now.
Copyright.
Rodney, you've got one for that, don't you?
Oh my.
Good on time.
So one thing that has been affecting weather across the continental United States is a stagnant weather pattern. And sadly for the folks in on the West Coast, I started to say in California, but it's the entire West Coast. The fires continue because there has been really nothing to break it up. And that being said, our weather quality, our air quality here has been affected, and our skies have been kind of odd looking. And that is a direct result, if I can find the page back.
I think you're seeing it.
I have another graphic I was going to share here.
But I'll let you. But this is the satellite view of the continental United States, and you can see in the area where there's definitely smoke hovering over.
Oh yeah.
And also, this is a pretty long run. It's almost all day. And so you can see how stagnant these patterns are. There's not much moving out there.
Right.
Other than
Now,
Sally
we did have
kicked
a
it in
front
gear.
move through here. We did have a front move through here, bringing some cooler air, almost a fall-like feel to the Ozarks. And that actually brought the smoke back to us. We'd had a brief clearing from it, but the haze today was ridiculous, and you can see that pretty good here. This was actually shared by the National Weather Service as a map to check for atmospheric composition.
Mm-hmm.
This happens to be biomass burning in North America, really showing where that smoke is going to.
Are you sharing?
And I am sharing.
Okay, well, you're not. So did you connect your wire back?
Yeah, my wire's in.
I'm seeing it in Skype.
In Skype, but I don't think it's coming across.
Right, I'm not
But
seeing
not
it on
coming-
my end, so she's not got enough bandwidth coming out to get it.
Okay, I'll send you a link. Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of bandwidth here tonight because you guys are blurry as if I didn't have my glasses on. So,
See, I'm seeing the same thing. Franklin's the only one that's coming in clear on my end.
Come on.
I got Rodney very clear, Franklin very clear, and Patty is just like gone, and she was perfect just a little bit ago.
they were working on our box in our driveway here just not too long ago. I saw them leave. We have trouble every time they've been out there working.
They definitely need to come back, as I was concerned when I first looked at that. I go, well, what's wrong? I mean, I can barely see Steve's face because he's in a much smaller window up in the corner. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
I might as well take my contacts out and probably just as clear. So, I don't know.
Yeah. See, I'm seeing you guys a little bit fuzzy. The stuff that's going through on the feed, like the maps and stuff, is really fuzzy. But what I'm actually seeing on the YouTube feed looks much clearer than what I'm seeing in Skype.
So he's probably using most of his bandwidth towards YouTube, which is fine.
Probably.
That's what we want.
The problem with AT&T is they will not give you the same upload as they do download.
They won't do it symmetrically.
So
So I'm slowly killing things I'm using here. Maybe that'll help. I don't know that it would. I do have one more to share here. We are stuck in a drought here in southwest Missouri, and it's gotten bad. We had more rain in 1 week in May than we have had in the months of July, August, and September combined.
Now that's concerning because if we get into drought stage, which it sounds like we are,
We're
now
there.
that puts us into dangerous position where fires could break out too, because people don't care, throwing their cigarette butts and stuff on the median, and and or setting fires.
Burning trash. And,
Yeah, exactly.
Burning brush and stuff.
Yeah, it's just
So I have not seen any fire weather hazard issued yet, but I am seeing that this area of severe drought has expanded. Steve and I are right on the edge of it here between the moderate and severe. I think we had 9/10 of an inch for the month of August.
Mm.
We're slaves to watering our plants.
Yeah, usually August we have more rain than that.
September, we're going into October, and we're in La Nina. It has been confirmed. And so what that means, let me pull up my little graphic so that I can cue myself here. La Nina usually means, come on, computer. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I won't pull this up as a graphic, but La Nina refers to a periodic cycle when the sea surface temperatures off the central and east central equatorial are cooler than normal due to upwelling. So we have the lakes here turn over a couple of times a year.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacific Ocean does the same thing. And it will build up and build up and build up the heat, and that's El Nino. La Nina is when the cooler water below raises up over the heat. And this cycle usually occurs every 3 to 5 years, but can occur out of that time frame. Temperature change of the La Nina affects tropical rainfall in Indonesia, the west coast of South America, and that also affects global weather patterns. La Nina leads to a drier fall period for our region, along with a more active winter weather pattern, meaning that our region of the U.S. could potentially see some pretty big swings in temperature, more rain, snow, and wintry mix events in the winter. All in all, more of a mixed bag winter instead of a constant cold and dry. So,
no fun.
no fun. Well, could get interesting because weren't we, and I'd have to go back and look, but weren't we in a La Nina when we had the January storms roll through that produced a tornado that hit here in town?
Possibly. I don't recall
thinking.
exactly, but it may be.
I mean, we can obviously look at the historical side of things, couldn't we?
Right. I can't remember the year. It's been a little ways back because it was the last time I was actually out at the Weather Service. We've changed how we do our nets now. We don't deploy somebody out there anymore. We don't have to. But it was my last trip out to the Weather Service. So
It's been a while.
2010, I think, when Harry Cooper got hit.
Oh, okay. No. That was 2008, because that was like about 2 weeks before Grandma passed away. Or it may have been the week before she passed away. I'm almost positive it would have been January 2008.
Before I
get
started
my
at Teletech, which was
until
2010.
April.
Hmm.
I didn't get my license until
No,
April
wait.
of that
Hold
year.
on. Let me think. When did she pass away? Was it 2008? I'm not for sure. I thought it was January 12th, 2008 was when she passed away, but maybe it wasn't. But I remember because we were hearing about it on the radio, and they were not for sure if it was just straight winds or a tornado, and then we heard the roof
We had
came off of-
97 mile an hour straight line winds out of that.
Yeah.
So we almost took cover at the Weather Service. So
Yeah. Maybe I'm mixing it up with a different event. Although I do have a quick question, real quick, if you don't mind, from Kevin Price in the chat room.
Sure.
He was wondering, and this is his question, not mine. His question for you, Patty, was why all the ladies cause havoc and tear up stuff and leave like Sally did. And he ended that with an LOL.
Oh boy, that's a big fat old boy.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Well, I guess
That's if you
that's
take in a
because the
couple
men
of
have already taken the cycle that they go through and break hearts, buildings, and trees, and then leave everybody standing alone. So,
Could be.
hey.
I have to go with Lewis Black's question. Why do we not name tornadoes?
There goes Pete again.
Tornado Timmy, flee!
So I did get my license in April of 2017. It wasn't 28 or
Oh, 7.
2007. So the
Okay.
outbreak was January 7th and 8th of 2008, and it
Eight.
was an outbreak.
Okay.
That was a tornado watch number 1.
30, yes, it was tornado watch number 1. 33 tornadoes, supercell tornadoes, violent squall line producing damaging straight line winds in excess of 70 miles per hour over a 12-hour period.
Now, Patty, real quick, going back to the drought and potential for wildfires, Kevin also asked, because apparently he grew up as a junior firefighter, and so he's a little bit got a connection with this. He was wondering if anyone had any idea when was the last wildfire outbreak here in southern Missouri.
Wasn't it last year?
Well, I was going to say, I was thinking in the last few years, I thought there had been one, at least one.
Within the last 2, we've had quite a number. It was either last year or year before we had a horrible dry spell. And I want to say year before, 2 years ago
May
in
have
the
been.
spring. When we did not get the spring rains, we went into a horribly hot summer. And there were a lot of fires across the Ozarks at that time.
And if I'm thinking of the same event, wasn't part of that either in part of or very near part of the Mark Twain National Forest? Maybe?
There were fires. Well, the fires that were in Mark Twain recent time were actually set fires.
Okay.
They were controlled burns.
I got you.
That were concerning people. Now, there were fires down in Arkansas that were not controlled burns that we were getting the smoke from.
Gotcha.
The events I'm thinking of, we had fires across Greene County in our western part of our county. We had fires up towards Stockton, fires in Christian County, but even farther back, we had a very, very dry spell where I remember my cousins were telling me that they were trying to work on a fence and they had a welder that caught the grass around where they were working on fire, and it went quick, almost took a house out. Yeah. But that's been several years ago. I sorry, Kevin, I don't remember an exact date on that, but I do remember that horrible dry time. We're getting there. Like I said, I haven't seen any fire weather from the National Weather Service yet. We did have a very wet spring. We were fortunate for that. We don't have a lot of dry tinder right now. But as this progresses, our grasses are going to die, and he's right. And let's compound that. It's time for the trees to get ready to turn. They haven't had the water for that, and what we're going to see is not a pretty Ozarks fall. We are going to have the leaves just falling off the trees, turning brown and falling. And I'm already seeing leaves turning yellow and falling. They're not clinging to the trees. So there's more tinder if we don't start getting some rain. I
And
did
further-
see probably not a very good chance until October 1st.
And further compounding that even more if we start getting high wind conditions.
Yeah.
Because any fire that would start then is just going to spread quickly.
I think on the norm, we're about a month away from the change. That's typically mid October is when it starts getting good, at least based on my photos.
Yeah, I think it usually starts kind of about towards the end of September, first part of October. But like you said, Steve, it doesn't really kind of peak until like a week or two before Halloween, so about mid-October.
Yeah, and
Steve, did you catch my second link share?
nope, but I will. I was shutting
This is a
stuff
photo
down
of
to see if it made any difference in your abilities, because honestly, when I tested you earlier, we had a great connection.
It was fine. It was fine. Yeah, but like I said, right before I sat down at my desk, I closed the blinds and I looked, and the AT&T truck was leaving. And it's like every time he's been out there, I don't know what he's doing. But I probably should have reset the modem at that point. If I do it now, it'll kill the screen. That's not the one. Go to the third one over, latest drought information.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let me
It
see.
shows the areas in particular that are under abnormally dry, moderate drought, and severe drought. Proper pasture losses are likely in that area, and water shortages become common. The dry weather continues. This is the precipitation outlook also through the 24th of September. No discernible precipitation is expected through that time. So this is starting to look scary going into fall with the dry conditions.
Yeah, because
especially with harvest. This is going to affect the end crops.
True, and like you said, lack of rainfall that affects the color and how long the leaves stay on the trees. Also, it seems like and right now they're not warm temperatures, but it seems like if we don't have kind of that early fall kind of cool temperatures along with a decent amount of rain. I don't know if it's that the chlorophyll doesn't start breaking down like it normally does, and you don't get those pretty oranges and reds and yellows. You get kind of more of a muted, dull brown. Our fall foliage, I have a feeling it's just not going to be anything this year.
So I have one, and I hope it comes through. Well, I'll just share this picture so Steve can grab it. I have a funny, and we have a meteorologist here who has a reputation for letting us know when things are getting down and dirty.
I think I may know which one this is.
We love him dearly. He's great. He knows his stuff. He's an awesome meteorologist. Well, I think we're very lucky here in the Ozarks because they all are. Everyone that we've got on both of our main channels are just awesome. Beth, Elisa, and Jamie on Ozarks First, and Ron and all the rest over on 3 are just fabulous. Yeah. But Ron in particular, if that picture will send, there it goes. Ron will take off his jacket and roll up his sleeves when things are getting serious. We know this about him. So a couple of years ago, we had severe weather coming in, and he ran into work on his day off in shorts with a jacket on. That was the one time I never saw him take the jacket off, but he was in shorts. Okay? And so they still pick on him for this.
Well, it was the camera guy's fault. Because the camera guy pulled back and showed the shorts.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Well, my understanding was because it was a storm team event, they didn't adjust for the height of Ron because Ron's fairly tall
And
compared
the
to
cameras are
Brandon.
automated. They don't
Right.
have a cameraman in there anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My understanding is Brandon was doing it at the time. He was, kind of doing it, and then that's when Ron stepped in, and they didn't adjust the height of the camera based on the height of Brandon or at least at the time. I think even
Abby.
yeah, Abby. She's fairly tall too. So anyway.
So yeah. Anyway, that guy, I came across him when I was watching coverage of Sally coming on shore. And I was like, this guy has got to be related, or he went to the same school and got training. These are your cues to give the people. Roll those sleeves up, buddy, and get so animated your shirt starts coming undone, coming out from the pants. I thought it was great because it was a great visual. Little things like that mean so much. People can look at the screen and go, oh, I need to pay attention.
Mhm.
And I thought that was just so cool on his part, but I thought it was kind of funny too because I immediately thought of Ron. So
And if you've ever met him or talked to him in person in a setting where he's discussing weather and getting watches and warnings out to the public and people and everything, he is very, very dedicated to, I want to help people. I want to save lives. I think he wants to save property, but I don't think that's his number one thing. His thing is the people, and I have to give him so much accolades for that. Having seen him at several of the IWT meetings, and whenever he is not afraid if he disagrees with something and he thinks something can be done better, he says it. And he's like, I'm not meaning to step on anyone's toes. I just want to get this information out to the people. And he's great about that.
I was going to give that guy credit, but I don't see his name appearing on the it's WHDN, Dothan, Alabama. I can't find him. So he's wait a minute. I might have found him. Michael White. There he is.
there he is.
Morning meteorologist for Fox 10 News, can be seen weekdays from 4:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
What market is he out of?
Dothan, Alabama.
Dothan or Dothan?
Dothan. Dothan. I don't
Dothan,
know.
Dothan.
I ain't
D-A-W-
from there.
Depending on what part of the country
WSON.
you're from.
I don't know. I ain't
Dothan.
from there.
Dawson, Alabama.
Now, he has been working for Fox 10 since 2009. Got his start in broadcasting as a radio DJ at the age of 18. Went to the University of Alabama to obtain a degree in communications, followed by a degree in meteorology from Mississippi State. And
That's where Will got his.
he's
I believe.
he was on it. Boy, he was on that hurricane, man. I think that was his big shot right there, is those southern news meteorology people, man, they got a hurricane coming in and they're going to be on that puppy.
We got the hurricane coming. Quick, get the camera.
Well,
Flee.
they were
flee.
watching this thing just eat away at their coast.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And dumping all this water. It was, they were talking in terms of feet of water and how the storm was turning east and what areas would be affected that originally were not expecting to be. So, yeah, he was definitely on top of getting this out. And it wasn't just him. They had a whole team of people. They had folks that were on site live. They had people driving around showing the conditions. It was definitely a team effort. I give them all kudos for this. And I watched as the storm came inland. They even got teams of people on the broadcast from different perspectives. One was out of Columbus, Georgia. I have to. I'm not gonna embarrass my daughter that way. She and I were having a good discussion about whether or not she was in the outer bands, and I flip over and find her talking about the rain they're getting, and the deteriorating conditions. Anyway, he was in there. There were other meteorologists that really knew the history of the coast. What was it, 2 years ago, Hurricane Michael came in at about the same spot, and the different nature of the storms and how people shouldn't let their guard down just because it was a, quote, Category 2 and not that bad of a hurricane. It was the flooding they were concerned about. So it was impressive coverage, that's for sure.
So, I don't know how to pull this off, but right now our internet connection's as bad as dial-up. We need a reboot. We need to reboot it. I don't know if that's going to kill our feed.
It will.
Well, it'll kill the Skype feed.
You're the one that's uploading the mainstream, so
right.
Unless I somehow,
it'll kill Skype somewhat. You and Franklin and B will stay on,
but we won't have a YouTube feed because you'll lose that connection.
Yeah, you're the one feeding it, so I guess what we're going to have to do here, folks, so that we can clear things up here a little bit, let me reboot our modem. We will be back as soon as possible. It will be a second link coming up. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. So
yeah, and as long as they have the notification icon clicked whenever we go live again, they should get a notification.
Right. Yeah.
So watch for our live. We'll be right back.
We need to get like intermission